Hi. It's almost 11 o'clock on the 15th of December, 2010. I'm again down in my basement office in Denver, Colorado. Last week I got from Netflix, Go for Broke. This was a film made in the early 50s. It was a tribute to the 442nd Regimental Combat Team. Uh, the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, if you're from Hawaii, you know about the 442nd, and you also know about the 100th Battalion. These were all Japanese American units. At least the enlisted personnel were all Japanese. The officers were Haoles. When I was a kid growing up in Hawaii, I saw this. I know I saw this in the movie theaters in the early 50s, and I'm sure I've seen it on television as well. Uh, the, the film stars Van Johnson, which is, typical of these kinds of films. It's hard to, uh, especially in the 50s, to have the story of an all Japanese American unit and have it star Japanese. You had to have somebody like a Van Johnson to be the headliner. Much in the way that if you look at the story of the Navajo code talkers in the Pacific during the Second World War, it was more a story about Nicolas Cage than it was about the Navajo. But be that as it may, that's I guess that's how films are made, and unless and until they figure some the ethnic minorities can bring in the buns on the seats, well, they're going to have somebody like a Nicolas Cage or a Van Johnson that's going to be the star. But when I was growing up in Hawaii and I saw this film, it was I was really impressed by it. It was just a tremendous film at that time, and I suppose it was because the veterans of the 442nd and the 100th Battalion were so prominent in Hawaiian politics and Hawaiian business. These were the guys who had gone and fought during the Second World War. They fought in Italy in some of the toughest campaigns there, and they fought in France, and especially noted for their efforts in the campaign in the Vosges Mountains. Now, so it was, I guess, in a very real sense, part of the collective experience of Hawaii as a as a state or a territory at that time, or as some sort of phenomenon that says, okay, this was Hawaii. Uh, you know, they spoke in that pidgin English. They played the ukulele, and they danced the Hapa Hawaiian hula to Hapa Hawaiian songs, and it was very much a local kind of experience. The local color was palpable, and I think it was for that reason it was I was attracted to that film. It it may be because, notwithstanding that Van Johnson was the guy, uh, you had to have all these local guys, these Japanese guys, uh, being part of the main story. I mean, it was, after all, their story. But I got to say, after watching this film in 2010, in December 2010, I was somewhat disappointed. It was, and I suppose you get older and perhaps uh, more educated and more experienced, more knowledgeable, uh, less naive. I don't know how you want to phrase it. Uh, but the the film did not ring the kind of touch the kinds of emotional chords that I thought it was going to touch. Seeing it again, perhaps after 25, 30 years, maybe even longer than that. And it may be because when you look at films now, like Saving Private Ryan, the the, the combat scenes are so real. The cinema photography is so much uh, improved that Go for Broke suffers in comparison. As a war flick, it really does suffer in comparison. And also being more aware, having read a lot, studied a lot about the Second World War, and specifically about some of these campaigns, the Italian campaigns, and the campaign in France in the Vosges. You understand, or you're aware, that it was really, really tough, really, really tough fighting. Um, and you didn't get a sense it was the degree of difficulty, if you will, really wasn't portrayed as well as it should have been, because they did suffer in those campaigns. It was cold. It was a murderous fire the uh, by the Germans, who were well dug in, and then also understanding that in the whole scheme of things, it was a campaign that probably was best avoided. That they could have left those Germans in those forests to, in a sense, wither on the vine, instead of going and trying to rooting them uh, out of those hills and mountains in the bitter cold. It was also a story about race relations that did not come out as much then as it did now in 2010, because I was aware then of the really uh, the racism of the commanding general in France, the fact that these guys in the 442nd, one of the reasons they were so well decorated is because they kept being put into these situations where they were, you know, going to take hostile fire, and they would have to, uh, you know, in a sense, be brave, uh, or die, or run away. And they, you know, these Nisei chose to be the brave American soldiers. So it was an interesting experience to go through and watch this uh, film again. I think the lesson that I learned in watching this film, you know, watching this film again after such a long span of time between viewings, is that uh, sometimes the memories of youth are perhaps best left alone. That it's perhaps not worth revisiting. You know, those old experiences. You know, that nostalgia ain't all that it's cracked up to be. But all in all, I thought it was a useful experience to watch this film, notwithstanding some of the kind of the triteness, the kind of the cliched treatment of the members of the 442nd. It was good to be reminded of the kinds of sacrifices that these men made for us. Uh, you know, they showed in that film a shot of Brouillet, which is a town in the Vosges. I had actually been to the town when I was stationed in France, because the 442nd liberated that town. And while I was there, I don't know if they still do it. They had an annual celebration of the liberation of the town, and they would invite all the Hawaiians from all over France, you know, who were stationed with the military, to come help them celebrate. So that was kind of cool. But it's useful to be a little bit analytical as you watch these kinds of movies, and understand that the disappointment is not so much that the kind of the memories, the attitudes of the past are invalid. It is rather that the times do change, and that we get more experience, and we get perhaps a bit more sophisticated, and perhaps a bit more more cynical, and we start viewing it with the lenses of 2010 technology, 2010 cinema photography, and not the kind of technology that was existing in 1951 or 1950. So all in all, I think it was a worthwhile lesson, and I think probably chief among that lesson is that you know, sometimes it's just better to have the memory. You don't have to recapture it. You know, however delusional that memory might have been, it's yours. And if it keeps you nice and warm and fuzzy, so be it.